bored on Christmas Day. One guy's doing a crossword puzzle. Or
I'm busy.
Busy, looking at their phones.
It's snowing.
It's snowing.
Oh, it's snowing.
Let's go outside.
What you do with my new boots?
And yesterday
snowing,
was
man.
like the
Trying to go
first day we've had any snow.
Here we go. Got ya.
And these are all sports legends probably in the UK.
Bro, watch it, will ya?
Of course, I don't know who they are, but that's okay.
I've got you.
Tennis, making tennis balls. Whack. This is just fun. Have fun in winter. Get outside. Like my mom used to always say. Go outside and play. We used to come in with our toes completely frozen off. That's it. Go outside. Right? Get outside and play. We come in and have our toes frostbitten because we had skates on from the year before that didn't fit, and we could only get them on if we wore dress socks instead of warm socks. We didn't care. I remember screaming when she'd pour cold water on our toes. It's after 4 or 5 hours of sub-zero weather. Like, how cool is that? How fun is that? That's what real life is about. Anyway, let's get over to the PDF news. Okay, this first article I think is hilarious, and I'm sure you won't agree. But Instagram sues analytics company because they're analyzing Instagram data without Instagram being involved. So they're doing what Instagram offers to their customers without Instagram in the middle. I think it's hilariously funny. A Hong Kong-based company, Social Data Trading, allegedly scraped data from Instagram and used the information for paid analytics service. Let's have some competition. Let's see how the analytics come out. Okay, the stuff that was getting scraped was verified badge status, follower count, post count, number of likes, and number of comments, as well as information about certain user followers. You know, I got a note. I haven't been on Instagram much, but I got a notice from Instagram a few years ago, and they said, "We suspect suspicious activity on your account." Okay, well, if you suspect that, why don't you do something about it? And a couple days later, I had 10,000 new people that I had followed. Oh, great. You know, and it was bodybuilders and stuff. And like hairstylists and makeup people. I got such weird followers that I followed. Of course, I didn't follow any of them, and I got 10,000 of them. It took me years. I would just, you know, while I was watching TV or something, hit unfollow, 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 unfollow. So I don't have much hope for Instagram. That was all bots, I think. And apparently people are regularly buying fake accounts on Instagram, and that's the way you get it done. But so Meta, the owner of Instagram, you remember them as Facebook, claims that social data trading violated Instagram's terms of service and also violated California state law dealing with unauthorized access to computers. But it seemed to me that it was similar to the LinkedIn case, which happened a few years ago, and courts ruled that if it was information that anybody could get on somebody's profile, then Instagram has no business telling everybody it's confidential information. And that's what Adar Singh said. Singh said that we only drew on publicly available information. He said accessing and analyzing publicly available information is a fundamental right, whether done by hand, on paper, or through the assistance of technology. Sounds right to me. And then it goes on to say, and here it explains the ruling about scraping, and it seems to me, you know, it's like if Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn had decent tools. You know, I have over 12,000 followers on LinkedIn. Try to get in touch with them. You know, they used to give you their email addresses, which is you could publicly get. But it's a pain in the neck. And then they opted everybody out. They made an opt-out, which I'm fine with. I think that makes a lot of sense. But then they, by default, opted everyone out. So it made the access to your own connections almost worthless, because you can't message them anything. You can't say, I'm coming to Minneapolis, I'm doing a show or something. Nope. Or a meetup, let's get together. Nope, can't do any of that. So anyway, I'm glad somebody's competing with Instagram with Instagram's data. Okay, this is something that, you think, oh, this is going to be a boring show. This is something that every marketer should understand. It's crucial. Understanding EBITDA multiples. This is the kind of information that I tell CFOs that, I can help them with. I don't know. I've met some incredible marketers that didn't know their head from a hole in the wall on an accounting basis, that told me that they generated more sales than the cost of their ads, so they thought they were break even. I said, we put little things in the boxes in the sale. Those cost us money. Did you ever think to subtract that? Maybe that'd be an idea. They got, like deer in the headlights. I'm not saying these were excellent marketers. I'm saying that these were real marketers, and they were making more than I was from that client by a lot, because they were the digital guys. Woohoo! The young kids. They had no idea what a break even, just even basic break even analysis. And I have a show on that if you go search on YouTube. Anyway, what this is about is, it stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Okay? It's basically the operating cash flow a business generates. So you got a P&L, you've got top line revenue. This is how much money we took in. Okay? And then these are our expenses. And it's not very well written, because it says you take net income and adding back interest, expenses, taxes, and the cost of depreciation and amortization. Okay, well, that's in the bottom line. That's in the expenses and stuff. And what we're looking for is a picture of a company. Here's the revenue up here, and here are the costs. But we don't want to take the costs that aren't related to doing business, because if a company buys them, it may buy off their debt. It may buy them for the cost of their debt, right? Or contingent liabilities that they're facing that they don't have the resources to fight the legal battles with, like this scraping company or something like that. So sometimes a business will sell itself to deal with other problems. But what buyers want to know is, here's the revenue you took in, and here are the business operational expenses that we might not have to deal with. So, as a great example, country club dues, company cars for personal use, payments to non-participating family members. Maybe it's a family business, maybe it's second generation. And so I'm the oldest, I'm running the business, but my brother doesn't want to run the business, but in the will it says I got to pay him, a 5% royalty because my dad said I had to. Okay, well, if the business gets sold, and I had a friend who had a business that was kind of like that, okay, and we would talk every year about the crazy stuff that had to happen because the father had given each sibling an equal percentage of payment, of ownership of the company. So this, the oldest had to pay them off every year. Well, that would not be part of EBITDA, okay, because it's not an operational expense. And if it gets bought by somebody else, that would be the first thing to go. But each family member would participate in the sale and get 25% of the cash. Okay, so it makes sense. Okay, they're not trying to rip anybody off. Okay, so back here. The higher the multiple of so what happens now? You're going to sell your company, and it's a $10 million company. That's your revenue per year. But $9 million of it goes to inventory and overhead and keeping the lights on and salaries and all the rest of it. Okay, and another half of that $1 million goes to taxes and interest and stuff like that. So your bottom line end of the year profit is $500,000. But some of those operational costs we're going to back out because it's, that goes to pay the country club and the cars and other stuff that the owners of the company like paying themselves as a business expense, but it keeps their income low. Okay, maybe they lease equipment to the company. I had another boss who did that. It's a pretty smart idea. Or they own the business and they pay the rent. And I had many small businesses do that. They personally buy the building and then the company pays rent to it. So accounting is very creative stuff, whether you believe it or not, you marketers. But anyway, so now we've got $500,000 before all these other crazy stuffs, okay, come out. And so, or maybe we got $1 million because that was the operational. There were $9 million in operational expenses. So we got $1 million on the table. Now what we do is we say, okay, you did $1 million in EBITDA last year. The profits were half of that, but we did $1 million in profit. Okay, and we're just going to take that and look at it because it doesn't matter how much money you make in a year if you don't have any profit left. The buyer is interested in profit. Now, that's not always true. Sometimes buyers are just interested in revenue growth, and they figure that that you're running the business terrible, and that they can make a lot more money buying it from you. Now, that's oftentimes there's a hubris in buying companies, and there's often big surprises. I had a friend who was president of a catalog company, and he bought a competitive catalog that only printed twice a year, and it was in black and white. And he thought, boy, if we make this color and jazz it all up, but he didn't realize that market was very, very reluctant to spend extra cash. It wasn't like his market, even though it was the same sport. And he got a rude awakening finding that the low overhead approach of one color black and white catalog mailed rarely in big runs was way more economical, and it ended up being not a great acquisition for him in retrospect. So sometimes there's growth is happening in sales, and the operational cost to scale up to that level can be there's a big learning curve. And so a company can be growing a lot. Growth is expensive, but a bigger company might want to buy them because they're not growing so much. And it'll look better on their balance sheet to their investors that, oh, they got some growth because they bought a growing company. Okay, it wasn't really anything in a core business, but whoopee, we get some growth. Anyway, there's all kinds of factors, and this article kind of just hits on the top of the waves. But the point is that like if you put in machine learning, if you can figure out and demonstrate that the machine learning actually raised your value, your customer lifetime value, that can increase your multiple, especially if you actually do it with someone who knows what they're doing. The buyer could be interested in applying it to other of their divisions, and that would have value beyond the EBITDA. And so what happens is when there's those kinds of instances, what happens is the buyer will offer a premium multiple. So we'll take that $1 million EBITDA, and you might get 3 times it if you're just kind of stagnant, but it's a family business and everybody's happy, and that's not uncommon either. Especially a printing business. The owner's getting up there in age. He doesn't want to reinvest. He doesn't want to, put in all kinds of new presses and new equipment. He just wants to keep it going the way he's been. It's his retirement, and he's doing fine. But now he's getting old, and he wants to do something for his kids, and they don't want a part of it. Okay, so that'd be a 3-time multiple. On the other hand, if you've got, I did work against actually Toys R Us, who told investors that they were going to put in a customer database, and they were going to know all the stuff about their customers. The problem with that was that they forgot to mention, and none of the marketing people thought of it, is I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Well, that's the problem. You do grow up. And your kids that loved Toys R Us when they were 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, they get to be 15 and they're just not interested. So all the data on the 7-year-olds only applies to next year's 7-year-olds. It doesn't apply to a continuity of interest by your aging customer base. Something to think about. Anyway, but Toys R Us sold it and went bankrupt. because it was not at all true. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so anyway, what we've been in the business of doing 17 times, we've had clients hire us and dramatically improve that multiple. I can't do a whole lot. Sometimes I can. I've done things to help the profitability, but mostly I've been able to help the growth. And that growth takes your multiple from 3, where it has been just a dormant little company, or it's been declining in sales. Oftentimes I've taken that and taken a declining sales company. That's in my book, one of them, that we grew 20% in a recession the first year, 20% the second, 20% the third, 60% improvement. It's actually more than that, over 3 years, can dramatically help your valuation, right? And I've shared the Lovesac case. It had there were a lot of people involved, but we showed them how to use testing to leverage their marketing budget and learn from it, and then take what they learned in mail and leverage it onto digital and mass media. And they grew 100% in the 3 years we were with them. That's a big deal. And it's a public company now, so they went from 50 to 100 million, which is public information. And I understand they're doing great, but that gives their stock a higher valuation because they went public. And that's the kind of thing that you want your marketing people, fundamentally your marketing people, to understand. And Sean has a video out on YouTube that I've excerpted where he talks about how incredibly good their marketing staff is at figuring out where is the value, where's the leverage, where does the marketing spend generate growth, generate profit. And every marketing person should understand the value of EBITDA. I'm not going to go after the whole article. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it's really important. So subscribe to WDMA.org and read the rest of the thing. You'll learn a lot if you don't have much accounting background. When I started marketing, I had 0 accounting background. So it's really, really helpful and valuable. And if you want case studies on how valuation can be increased with data, I highly recommend my book, Spinning Straw into Gold. It's available in paperback, but you can just go over on Amazon and get it in Kindle for about, I don't know what, $8 or something. Maybe it'll make you a couple of million. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Have a happy new year. I can't wait to see how 2022 shakes out. Bye-bye.